So let's do Perek Mem Tes. This is the Shir of Lag Boimer. In Perek Mem Ches, the Alter Rebbe starts speaking a new concept in Kamayim Aponim Laponim, right? What's the new concept? Kamayim Aponim Laponim, the Eibishter gives us gratitude, and it gives us stuff that we don't deserve. If I care, the less we deserve it, the more we should love Him. But in Perek Mem Ches, the Gedank that the Rebbe is using is the Tzimtzum. Hashem is kvetching Himself, so we should kvetch ourselves in return. Right? That was the whole idea. And of course, he went to the whole pilpul. He's really not hidden. Hashem is really still here. And faket, Hashem is Yediyah, say son, Hashem is knowing us as Archayas. But from our experience of the Tzimtzum. Perek Mem Tes, Behine. Even though the details of the concealment and hiddenness of the Ein Sof, is in the chain reaction of creation of worlds, till there was the creation of the physical world. It's too many to count. And not only are there different ones, but different types. As is known to those who taste from the tree of life. And of course, you can never know enough of these secrets. So in other words, to start talking about Tzimtzum will never finish. Even though there are so many Tzimtzumim and it's impossible to entertain the Tzimtzumim, let's speak in general. There's three basic categories of Tzimtzumim that are general and most intense. Because they are, the three different categories of world. And of course, in each general group, there are myriads of details. And they are the three worlds of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. In other words, these are three categories. Bria is one category, Yetzirah is a second category, and Asiya is a third category. Now I'm about to say something which I'm not allowed to say. And that is that I'm going to propose that the kavanah of this Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya doesn't mean the Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya we know. It means Biyah Kloli, a more encompassing. Because Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, the Chaltz Nivra, merveinik. In other words, a world which is completely godly, a world where there's already a Sharia Metzias. In other words, it's three. The Alter Rebbe is saying there are huge tzimtzums that divide creation into very, very broad categories. And let's see what he says. The world of Atzilos, Lakus Mamash, is completely godliness. And of course, in Elam Asaklon, this is Ein Sof Shalifnei Tzimtzum. Everything is godliness, even though there is Kalim, Oisius, but it's a Lakus Pepshitas. To create the world of Bria. Shehein, which is of course the world of Neshamis, Malachim El Yenim. The Neshamis and Atzilus, which the Alter Rebbe calls Tzadikim Gedolim. The Neshamis of Bria, the Alter Rebbe calls Tzadikim Stam. Most Malachim live in Yetzirah. The Malachim in Bria calls Malachim El Yenim. Asher Avedasam La Deshem, their service that Eirishter is Bechinas Chabad, is intellectual. Hamislapsha Behem, which manifests, which is revealed in them. Veheim, and they Masigim intellectually reach. Umekabla Mehem, and receive Chayes from the Chabad of Elikus. Says the Rebbe, there was the first intense tzimtzum to create a world of Bria where Neshamas and Malachim are standing Elikus. Tzimtzum number 2 is between Bria and Yetzirah. A small ray of light, which manifests in Bria. So in Bria, it's still Ein Sof, but it's not really Ein Sof, it's Ein Sof legabi Elam HaYetzirah, compared to Elam HaYetzirah. And therefore, it's impossible for that drop of Ein Sof from Atzilus, which comes into Bria, Eli the Tzimtzum V'Helm, through a second Tzimtzum V'Helm to go from Bria to Yetzirah. V'chein Yetzirah L'Asiyah is the third Tzimtzum from Yetzirah to Asiyah. Other places discuss Bia Shleisha Tzimtzum Male, the clarification these three Tzimtzum in Barichas at length, Lekarav Asachleinu Adal, to bring them close to our impoverished minds. Now, if you were a maskell, as you should be, you would sit and analyze every single word of this half page. What is the Alter Rebbe saying here about the Tzimtzum between Atzilus and Bria, between Bria and Yetzirah, and so on. But that's enough for a Chitas Shir. Bottom line is, the point of all of these Tzimtzumim is to create the greatest darkness. To create the body of a person, which is crude and base. That he should be able to bend klipa through his avodah. And to affect that through the darkness and our avodah, we're going to create an increase of light through the iskafia, through fighting with ourselves. That all the when a person lifts up his godly soul in spite of the darkness, like it says in Tanya Pedek Lamed Aleph. And Hachiyun and the animal soul, Uluvashan, its garments. And the powers of the body. And the world around himself, like it's mentioned Taki in Lamed Aleph, but Be'ikir it's mentioned in Lamed Zayir. That you're not only lifting up the Nefesh L'Kis, you're lifting up also the Nefesh Bahamis and the Guf and Chelke Be'elah. Says the Rebbe, all of this, Kul and all, the Shem Levade, to the Eibush Alon, Kanal Baricha, discussed earlier in Perek Lamed Aleph and then in Perek Lamed Hey and Lamed Zayir. Ki zeh tachlis ishtashus ha'elam, this is the purpose of the ishtashus of all the worlds. Says the Rebbe, the Eibush creates symptoms. He hides himself and hides himself. What does he want? He wants the epitome of Hidness. To create the possibility of us fighting and winning. So what's the Eibush doing? He's kvetching himself. We have to show gratitude to the Eibush, not just for the Asher Kitshana b'mitzvahs of Tivada we had in Memvav Zayin. We don't only Eibush thank you because he's giving us Yiddishkeit. We owe the Eibush thank you. The Eibush is kvetching himself. Says the Rebbe v'hine kamayim upon him upon. We should return the favor. There should be a return, a reciprocal gratitude. Hashem kvetches himself so much to create a world. We should kvetch ourselves. Just as Hashem, so to speak, hiniach v'silik l'tzadecha, put aside and ascended, derech Moshe, by way of analogy, it's Eiri HaGodel HaBilti Tachlis, his great light which is beyond having a purpose. Ve'gonzei v'histira, he hid it within, and he blocked it from. Ve'gimel mini tzimtzumim sheinim, these three levels of tzimtzum and creation. Now the difference between the word geniza and stira is mamish min hakotza lakotza. Geniza means it's hidden inside the tzimtzum. Hista means it's concealed from the tzimtzum. V'hakel b'shvil, why did the Eibush should do it? Avas ha'odam atach na'leis eleshem, his love for the man below in going up to the Eibush. Ki ahava dechekas abasi, he loves us so much, koyachad Eibush depresses his flesh, he squeezes himself, right? When you're in a room full of people you can't stand, you need a lot of space. When you're in a room full of people that you love, it doesn't matter that you're crowded together. Because ahava allows to be kvetched. The Eibush kvetches himself for us to exist. What is us? Tzimtzum and Helen Behest. Zalachas kama v'kama v'gifle kiflayim lein gets. How much more so? Doubled and redoubled in an immeasurable way. And of course, the Rebbe said it in Tanya Perek Lamed Gimel. Kifle kiflayim means 4 times. 2 and then 2 more. And Medav Gut von Anderkleib is what are the 4 paratim of gratitude that we owe the Eibush? Kiroi la'odam gamkin, it's appropriate for a person as well. La'aniach v'la'azif, to put aside and to even abandon. Kol everything he owns, both the spiritual and the material. And to sacrifice in an irresponsible way, so to speak, everything. For the purposes of attachedness to the Eibishter. With an attachedness and with a longing, with a desire. Nothing should say, well, I have no time, I'm busy. Neither be biased from the inside, nor from the outside. Nefesh, not body and not spirit, moment and not wealth. I'm not even a wife and children. A Yid's life has to be so devoted to Eibush, say to himself, Eibush expected that to kvetch also. Of course, this doesn't mean, in as much if the wife and children are part of serving the Eibush, especially chinuch, but then it's a fakert from Mahadazain. But in Yonim Chitzonium, Gashmi itself, Gashmi, says the Alter Rebbe, the Eibush kvetches, we should kvetch ourselves also. So this ends the current shiur.